Okay, as I promised on the forum, what I've got is some figured maples, and we're going to learn how to deal with them. And this is kind of neat. I think it would be a good idea to go through and take some of the various woods and whatever and just kind of look at that specific species. So we'll start with the maples. Now, one of the questions I got was, does hard maple, figured hard maple, die and finish differently than figured soft maple? And my answer is yes, it does. One of the things with the difference in a soft maple and a hard maple, now the first thing you got to understand, this is purely a classification and not a description. There's not anything really soft about soft maple, although it is harder than the hard maple. One of the things that you will find with a soft maple is and that's predominantly most of your curly. Now there's a lot of confusion. Is curly maple and tiger maple the same thing? Pretty much yes, if you ask most people. Now some people will tell you that they call soft maple curly and they call hard maple tiger, and then vice versa. But all it's describing is the figure in it. And then you've got, you've got like that you hear the term fiddleback maple. Well, fiddleback maple, what it is it came from where they would take preferably a hard maple where the curl in it ran very straight. They would cut it, book match it, and so you got this vertebrae looking figure in the back of it, and they liked it for a sounding board in the back. Thus the term fiddleback. And then you've got flame. Well, that just means you've got a bigger curls and whatever, kind of like a curly cherry or a flame birch. It's purely a description of the figure. I've often said that maple had to be one of God's favorite woods because the types of figure in it is just amazing. We've got a piece of bird's eye here, and when you start questioning experts and whatever, and I've done this about what causes these, nobody really knows. That's just it's a genetic defect. That's the best you can come up with. Like I said, I've seen a log sawn and one side of it is just insane, gorgeous bird's eye maple. The other side of it, plain maple. Nothing. I've seen them graft what they knew to be a piece of a limb that they knew to be bird's eye onto another tree. Tree grows, limbs bird's eye, nothing. It's a genetic defect. That's the best I can tell you. So now these are scraps. This is just a piece of soft maple I got from my buddy Bob Close, and this is a piece of hard maple. Now when you're using the maples, what you want, we didn't do a lot of sand in here, I can tell you that. You're going to see how the figure will migrate in. And one of the question is in the is in the soft maple, because the structure of the grain itself, the figure doesn't always stay quite as defined as it will in a hard maple. Now this is a little bit broader curl in this hard maple, but what you'll find is that the figure again is a little bit more defined, and that's just simply because, like a flame birch, the wall around the soft grain is harder, so the dye doesn't have a tendency to leach out, to migrate out. And as you're standing here watching it on the on the camera, what you're seeing how it's changing. You're seeing how it's being absorbed into the soft grain and kind of moving away from the hard grain. But the soft grain stays relatively defined pretty well. Now this is a piece of pretty high figured soft maple. And you're going to see how the figure in it is also staying nicely defined. What's the difference? It's just the difference in the density of the wood. When you sit, now this is a pretty fine curl. My experience has shown if you've got a fine curl in a soft maple, it's going to be a little bit more defined. Broader curls, it tends to leach out a little bit. Now in this one, this is an alcohol-based stain I've got on here, so it's evaporating pretty quick. Now you're going to see some areas like in here, here, up here. Now you can see where it's kind of, the curls are kind of crossing and the dye is kind of migrating one into the other. That can happen in any of them. So what you want to do is you want to take a scrap and you want to test your dye. Now what I have here is a piece of bird's eye maple. Got a little hard in it. That's okay. Now the heart's harder. Now the same thing can happen with bird's eye. Bird's eye, and it's a hard maple. I don't know that I've ever seen bird's eye in a soft. Maybe I have. But anyway, what can happen is it can actually migrate in, or you can see it happening. It can migrate in around the eye and then just kind of migrate out. And you can lose some definition, even though it's a hard grain, a hard grain. Now this is a piece of quilted maple. Now this came out of Oregon State. This is actually the big leaf maple, you know, the leaf's on the Canadian flag. And it produces what's called a quilted figure. This isn't super high figure in this one, but this is one of my favorite maples. It's just absolutely gorgeous. But again, you notice how it can migrate out. This simply again has to do with the density of the wood. Also, sometimes when it's super high figured, meaning you got a ton of curl, it can actually not do real well. When you dye it, one can just almost leach and migrate into the other, and you kind of lose the definition. So what's your solution? What I do, and have done forever, is I sneak up on it. All right. I've got a pad here that's wet, and I'm going to wipe this maple with this water. Now, this is a good time to show you. Look at this. See this board? You see how from here up it's quilted, and from here down, nothing. But here's the key. By wiping this with water, it's acting as a blotch control, which means it's going to allow me to gently come in on the color. Now, when we did the trace coating segment, we showed you how to use a trace coat to accent figured wood. Now, what you see as compared to this is I'm able to control the absorption of the dye. Now what I can do over here, now I'm pushing this, once this is dry, I can take my same damp pad, wipe it again. Now this is really helping me to accent, because I'm actually pulling some of the, because it's a water base, well this is alcohol based, but water and alcohol kind of go together. Is again, I can gently ease in to that color. I'm getting the definition, but I'm not going black. Works quite well. Now you can see already on the, you can see what happened here on the bird's eye. Now you notice where the heart is over here, it didn't do it as bad. And that's just simply because the heart's harder. But if I take the same technique and I do it on the other side, it's the same thing. I'm able to gently ease in to this color. Remember, with a die, you can put as many coats as you want. So, if I wanted to, what I would do would be do something like this, trace coat it, using the water and some dye, sand it off, then come back, use the water again, and sneak up on my color. It really helps the definition. Because, you know, you can get too dark in a figure, and it can migrate on you. Now this quilted one is drying a little bit more, but you can see what's going on. I mean, this doesn't even have any finish on it. That would show up quite nice. Now, you can see a little bit on this one where it kind of migrated some more. And that probably had to do with the fact that I was putting that down so fast. Meaning I'm fueling it, I'm giving it. So I'm going to wipe it with a little water, take my die, and I'm sneaking up on it, easing in on it. But this is something you want to test. Now again, the water is going to make the color lighter. So I can also dilute the dye. Just sneak up on that color, you know, in that curl. That keeps it from migrating out so much. Now, if you use the water, the other issue you're going to get is you're going to get some grain, you'll get a little fuzzing. But as long as you don't go crazy, what you can do is just take a little piece of 600 scuff pad or something, or a little piece of 6-800, and just literally wipe it so as not to disturb the color, and you're going to come back fine. Okay, while I'm here, this color, this is the New England maple. This is our color, something we designed, and we'll be doing some more on colors, but I've been asked about this one. To make this where you can make it, we took general finishes, one part, listen to me close, one part light brown. Then we took a half part of orange dye. Both of these are dye. So one part light brown, half a part orange, and then a half a part of water. Matches the color. And then again, you can season the taste, meaning if you want a little bit more orange to it, add it. If you want a little browner, add a little bit more brown. That's simple. That's our New England maple. I can also tell you this, that 9 out of 10 pieces we do in tiger maple, this is the color the client chooses. It has served us well. And the other thing to remember again with a dye is one coat does one thing, 2 coats do another, meaning you can just keep on getting darker and darker and darker. But using the little water trick on it really helps to keep it from migrating so much and gives you a little bit more control over your color. Now the question then comes, well, can you do this on just other things? Absolutely, absolutely. The water will help you slow down your dry some and give you a little bit more control. You may have to do it a couple times to get to the color you want, but you can do that. Again, that sneak up on it thing, it works pretty well. That's figured maples.